Button.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope you are well, etc. So here we are, back in the workshop of me, Chris Fisher, and ever-present Nicola Fisher behind me.
Hello.
So Nicola is being moderator, chat relayer, and being my eyes, which is cool. So hope everybody is well. I've had a great day. Did a bit of tinkering in the workshop this morning. Listened to Phil Iron's first ever virtual remote demonstration. So he was just really getting a proof of concepts for all his tech in his workshop and cameras and all his gadgets and everything. So yeah, it went really well. So he did a little workshop mallet, which was cool. Was anyone there, Nicola?
Yes, Stace Makes.
Hi, Stace.
Wayne the Woodturner.
Hi, Wayne.
Real Ale, the Flaming Turner, David McClernan.
Hi, guys. Right, well, as the title suggests, this is a 10-inch beech glue up. So obviously these were beech blanks that I've glued together, and I've just measured this. I've forgotten whether or not it was closer to 10 or closer to 11
inches.
So hold on, it just needs to be trued up a bit more.
10 inches. 10 and 11 sixteenths inches.
10 and 11 sixteenths. So let's get that.
100 inches, millimeters, centimeters, 0.0 centimeters.
In centimetres, those of you that work in that currency,
27.2 centimeters.
just over 27 centimetres. So
Minus 0.10.
that'll turn off in a few seconds. So yeah, I glued it up with Type Bond 2.
Turning off in 5 seconds.
Had it clamped up for a good, I don't know, 12, 14 hours. So yeah, need a bit of, I've got it into rough round today. There's still a bit more of a flat face to it on the edge, and then we'll need to true it up. So yeah, it's going to be a nice large-ish bowl. Oh yeah, so what I was tinkering on this morning, just before we get started, this was an number 2 Moss taper arbor that I had, and I've always needed to get round to making. I've got some of these spare inertia sander pads. So yeah, I drilled that out with a drill bit big enough to take the spindle and glued it in, and then obviously this just screws on, so I can put the smaller one on. So that goes in the headstock end now. So if I need to finish the bottom, I mean, you know, there are other ways you can do it, obviously on a belt and disc sander, by hand, on a bench drill, but I wanted the, you know, without having to change belt ratios and things on the bench drill. This has got the variable speed at the flick of a switch, so it's a lot more versatile and a lot quicker for me. I just want that in the headstock. So yeah, get yourself a mate. The 2MT, well, whatever Morse taper your lathe is, little hole, glue it in, bada boom, bada bing. And if you haven't got one of these special inertia sander spindles, just, you know, a machine screw or bolt would work as well, and you can just grind the hex head off, whatever. But it took me, about 20 minutes. So jolly well, off we go. So I'm just getting my face shield on. If you haven't seen the photographs of our friend Alistair's face, after that piece of wood struck him, check him out. And this visor's just popped out. So right, are you warm enough, Nicola?
Yeah.
Want me to turn that down?
Yes, please.
Well, I'll put it on the thermostat, the heater.
Okay.
So if it gets chilly. Right, we're going to get going. So I've got my bowl gouge here, 3/8 bowl gouge, I think it is. So what I'm going to do is just use this to true up the edge, and then we can get started. So it's going to be a nice simple bowl this. So I'm just feeling for my position here. And then start slow. So I'm just feeling for where I need to gently. Well, this is very dry, quite powdery. Taking the time. Just wait till it stops, have a feel. Just do a couple more passes. Should do. So it's on its first, well, it's on its lowest ratio at the moment. I will be altering the belt on the pulley in a short while, just get this face trued up. Obviously keeping it slow and safe. Any questions, any comments?
No, just people saying hello really at the minute. You've got 27 watching. So we've got Steve Coombs,
Hi Steve.
Jeff Christie, Wivey Woodshed, David Vernon.
Okay, I can hear you still.
Alright, Nathan, Wayne
I will
Bigfoot,
stop
Stephen
actually, just
Mellor.
like
Did I say Steve Coombs?
You did say Steve Coombs, yeah.
Who else have we got? Colin Watson.
Hi guys.
The Old Boys Shed.
Hi Paul.
Dr. D.
Hi David.
Real L999. I think I've probably repeated a few people.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's 29 watching at the minute.
Okay. Right, well let's carry on truing this face up. So wait to feel from my reference point. It's just out of true there at the moment. And also what I'm after doing is just any residues from the glue. We're just having a feel. Go a bit slower now.
How thick is that piece?
A couple of inches, that's all.
Nick says, have you had a chance to feel the pyro yet?
No. No, I haven't. But it's in the lounge on top of the hi-fi, so it's in a good spot. So anyone that comes in into the house,
see it straight
you'll
away.
see it straight away in the lounge. So no, I haven't, Nick. Sorry, but I will be using your paddle device this evening, and I will be giving you from my standpoint my thoughts on it. I've got my pen friend labels on there, but I've arranged them in a sequence that I would remember. But yeah, I've loaded it ready. Right then, let's remove this tail stop. Let's get rid of that centre pip. Feel for where I need to be. Got to come up to speed. That's good. And what I'm going to do now is just unplug the lathe because I'm about to do the pulley change. So, any questions or chat amongst yourselves just while I do this?
Mickey W says he's been watching the channel for about a year now. He found you from Arbe.
Oh yeah, the Canadian mad scientist.
And Nick says the main thing that he was aiming for is that people can put their own grip pattern on the paddle.
Yeah, oh yeah, because obviously if you sort of like had something stamped or written on there with the grits, yeah, it's a bit restrictive, and people go, well, you know, I need to put these on, or you know, if people just go through like the 4 grits up to 240, and then the Yorkshire grit it and stuff. So yeah, it's good that it's adaptable, but I would use it for just certain grits all the time, because that way I remember and it's routine and stuff for me. So I've moved up to the next ratio now, so just listening now to make sure that that belt isn't slipping and I've got it on properly, although it did feel okay. So now time to do a bit of speed sizering.
So we've got Dead Rises on.
Hi Emmett.
Dan and Sharon from Newcastle.
Hi Dan and Sharon.
Paul Smith.
Hi Paul. So just let me explain this quickly. So yeah, if you don't know what this device is, it's something that I invented, the speed sizer, and it makes it easy for anybody to mark the size of a tenant or mortise safely, accurately, time and time again. So it's primarily made in conjunction with Axminster, so it is for Axminster jaws in the range, although a couple have been omitted from this original design, a couple of O'Donnell jaws really, but there are holes all over it, and then I'm sure you'll find one that corresponds to your jaws. So I know which hole I need for this in expansion mode. So it's held loosely there. So I just use a brad awl to score a tactile mark for my jaws. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely.
Nick says he keeps plugging the speed sizer in his lives.
Yeah, I know you do, mate. Cheers. Yeah, I'll just mention that I listen to my YouTube now on our TV. So I don't know if it's something to do with the settings, but I've got the Fire TV, so it's all voice enabled, and I can just use voice commands to find anything. It reads stuff out to me. It's brilliant. The one thing it doesn't do, it doesn't allow me to type comments or interact in the chat on it. So if you think, oh, I'm not here or I'm not logged in, a lot of the time I am listening, either on the night or I'll get round to it. But yeah, I did notice, Nick, and that's why I sent you that message today about, you know, you're thinking more now about classical designs and the way things look, and so I am listening. That's just that most of the time I listen on my TV, and then I can't comment on it because of the TV settings, and then ultimately I forget. So I am listening though. I'm working out. So that's and that's the position of the foot. So ideally, rule of thirds, try to make your foot a third of the width of what your bowl is. So, you know, the rule of thirds, it's a staple in design and aesthetics. So that's all very good. So let's have a feel here now. It's not that one. It's that one. So I shall just use a square carbide. You can use a skew chisel, parting tool, bowl gouge, whatever you want. I just find this very accurate because I can feel that it's very flat on the base. But obviously, if you wanted to use your gouge, you can do. Happy days. So just make sure. I just felt that. I see. I leave a tiny little centre pip, just so I can feel where I am. Make sure that I'm roughly parallel. Then feel for the edge there. and I can hear the sound change. So I'm just kissing that. And if you are using something like a square carbide...
Instagram. Now, Seed to Source mentioned you in their story.
Just remember that you've got a cutting edge on the left side, so be careful, sneak up on that dovetail, otherwise you're just going to eradicate it. So you're looking at about 4mm depth. You don't want to bottom out, otherwise you can have some wibbly wobbly action, and that could potentially lead to your bowl making a bid for freedom. So yes, what I was saying to you, Nick, in that message I sent to you, is when you start thinking about classic designs and forms and shapes, you need to have, you know, a knowledge of the catenary curve, but elevating your work on a foot or a tenon or a spigot, which you can then shape as you finish it off, and you know, make it a bit more tapered and a bit more finessed. Just remember that raising it off the table, you know, the appearance of it floating adds a huge dimension of class and elegance. So and you know, it's stuff, it's an expression that I heard Colwyn Way use as well the other day. If you're going for what's called a gallery piece, you know, you want it to stand out and be beautiful, and you know, you've spent a lot of time elevate it either on a tenon or on a foot, and you'll be
Instagram.
really...
Now, Dessins liked your post.
Do you want to turn that voiceover off, or shall I'll just leave it for now. So start shaping this around now. So I'm not bothered, I'm just getting a rough shape now, letting my mind getting my mind to start processing the mental images. Let it come up to speed. We're going to sneak up on that. And because this is a glue up, and because a blind guy has glued this up, I'm just taking my time. So again, let it come up to speed. This is immensely dry. super dry. In fact,
Nick says he would use a tenon, but he needs to get some bigger button jaws or cold jaws. I
yeah,
think it's the same thing, but no idea.
yeah, button jaws, cold jaws, people call them that. Some people make their own, but also what you can do and what I'm going to do is to have one. I'm going to get a piece of plywood. I've got a spare faceplate and have a plywood disc, and have it permanently mounted to my faceplate, so then if I reverse mount something, it just goes flat against the plywood on some non-slip mat. I'd leave the little pimple in the centre so it will line up, and then I can just remove the tenon if need be, or reshape it and finish it and smarten it up, and then just leave a little nib that you can just remove either with a bit of sanding or a pen knife, etc. Right, so I've just up the speed a bit more. So I'm getting to the shape that I want now. I can feel the shape coming just by the way that my arm moves through the paths. So start, stop, feel, start, stop, feel. We know the score. I'll just work around this top end now. Let's have a feel. Make sure I've got the shape that I want. So I've gone to a 3/8 foot now. How's it looking, Nicola? With the
Yeah, it looks really nice. You can see the contrast. Sharon says they bought a speed sizer and it's fab.
Oh, thank you, Sharon.
Nick says he's used a jam thing before to take the tenon off, but didn't trust it. Might give the plywood idea a go.
Yeah. Foot. So obviously getting the little whiskers off. You can just feel them kissing the back of my little finger, my pinky. So continually feeling, adjusting, refining.
Bespoke Creation says they made a donut chuck to finish in the bottom of bowls.
I think there's one called a rubber chucky. And the guy that makes them, oh, not a donut chucky, it's sort of like a rubber thing called a rubber chucky. And he was on today talking to Phil Irons.
Oh right, yeah.
Because Phil Irons uses them, so he said he'd bring them. We did fill a couple more to use.
Sharon says as a beginner the speed sizer has really helped her.
I know, I'm sure, you know, and I would love a speed sizer to be in every woodturner's workshop, and it just makes things, but there are, you know, super experienced woodturners out there that, you know, just by nature they're gonna, you know, reach for their dividers, and they're perfectly, you know, comfortable with that. But I think for, you know, people that, you know, are mere mortals and like me, blind, I mean, it makes it safer and quicker for everybody, apart from probably, you know, the super uber, you know, super advanced extreme, but even for them it'd make it easier. So it would be nice if you were in every single wood turning workshop, and especially for wood turners at sea. So if you've got a rookie in the class, rather than explaining how to measure things and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, maybe using the dividers, the speed sizer is an absolute no-brainer. And, you know, so I'm just going to tidy up this foot now, give that a spray. Again, feel for where I need to be. It's a very light foot.
Nick says it's helped Stace as well because she doesn't have to ask Nick every time.
Yeah, well, it's going to help everybody. You know, irrespective of skill level. And also, an important factor for me personally is the statistic. Obviously, you know, you guys are going to know that I get a percentage in royalties for everyone sold. It's not a vast amount, believe you me, but every penny counts. Now, the government statistic for the blind and visually impaired adult society, it's shocking. 80% of blind adults, or severely visually impaired adults, 80% either struggle to find work or struggle to keep hold of a job. You know, if you can think of an employer having to take on someone that's blind or severely visually impaired, the amount of investment that's involved in all the, you know, accessible tech and screen readers and everything, you know, it costs a fortune. So, you know, for me, going self-employed, you know, I became my own boss. But also, you know, I'll be the first to admit I do not earn a lot. And, you know, it's really hit me hard having all these demos cancelled. So every penny counts. So we really do appreciate everybody that's bought one, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It's making a little difference, you know, as and when we do get our royalty check. But it does make a huge difference to a blind person, you know, trying to support himself and his family, you know, so thanks for that. I really do appreciate it. Anything you want to add to that, Nicola?
No, I agree.
You know, there's not really much more I can say about it without it sounding like, you know, a full-on pity party, you know, but we're just, you know, being honest and, you know, realistic. We get a tiny percentage of each one. And every penny counts. But more importantly, it's giving a lot of woodturners the ability to have safe and accurate jaw to mortise or tenon fit, and you know the safety implications are massive. So I'm sort of finished now, just making sure that I'm addressing any tear out that was there, etc. Sneak up on this. Get that tool rest right out of the way. So this is beech. That's what this is. Life's a beech. That's feeling pretty good. Right then. I'm going to put my power cap on now, folks. I'm going to get to some sanding. But you should still be able to hear me. I will talk louder. Something that comes very easy. Get the sanding wax on. So this should enable you guys at home to see the colours pop a bit better. Right then, see what she's made of. So I'm listening and feeling to what's going on. And because it's got some slurry on, I've got a wire brush and I can just give that a clean. Just feeling as I go around, getting a good feel for it. I'll be back in a second, hold on. Don't panic. Not that you are. Remember, when you're standing inside your dovetail, very lightly, and don't knock the profile of the dovetail out.
Nick says it's weird someone using something he's made.
Is it? I am just taking my time, just with this first grip, just so I can have a feel of what it's like and give Nick an honest opinion. I'm going to try it in reverse now. And what I'm going to do now is just offset that disc, like that, so I can just get right into that corner. And I can put it back on. Right. So, still taking the time. And then we'll just put it back on quickly. What are you laughing at?
Nick says he's sitting here anxious on the edge of his seat waiting for the reviews.
Oh, I'd be anxious if I were you.
This is weird, never been anxious about anything.
Well, I've already made my mind up. Whether or not it's what Nick wants to hear is another thing. Am I the first RPT to try it? Did you hear that?
Yeah, it just takes a minute. Yeah.
I am.
What?
Am I the first
Oh,
RPT?
yeah, I think so. I think, yeah. Do, do, do.
Well, I was prepared to not like it, but actually it's really very good for a couple of reasons. I thought that the plywood could have done with being a bit more having a bit more flex in it. I thought, you know, having a flex, I'll have to wait till I use it on the inside, but it wasn't an issue on the outside. It works really well. I like the way that I can just quickly peel it off, use it just to get tight in on that shoulder on the foot, and then I can put it back on. So it's like, also for me, it's a storage, it's a holder as well. Rather than putting it in my back pocket, you know, it's there, it's accessible. It works better than I thought it would be. It's really nice to use. My only concern when I first felt it yesterday was maybe that plywood. Maybe if you want to, you know, if that was made out of a flexible polymer or plastic, it would be even better still. But it worked better than I thought it would. I like the way it feels. I like the way that you can just, you know, spin it around like a set of nunchucks. And I like the fact that it keeps all the discs accessible. I can peel it off, use it for a second by hand if I want to, put it back on. So yeah, it's really good. So I'm keeping that. But yeah, yeah, really good. I like it. I like the fact that it's simple to use. It's effective. You can put whatever 4 grits on there you want, or you don't have to put 4 on. You could just put 1 or 2 on. You know, use it as you want.
Did you have 2 of the same grits on one side and use both?
Well, you could do, but that's why I pulled out the steel brush.
Right.
So you can clean it and prolong the life of your disc.
No, mate, could you put the same grit on 2 of them and then use them 2 together? Or would you not do that?
No.
You just use the one at a time.
Well, yeah, you could put 180 on there on both, and double up your sanding
yeah.
if you wanted. Yeah, of course you can. No, it's really good, Nick. I like it. So, and I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. I'd have told you. If I thought it was shit, I'd have said. My first impressions were, I'm not too keen on that board being that rigid, but it's made no difference really. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be improved slightly by a bendy bit of plastic, but I know it works really well. So I'm just giving it a dust off there. So no, I like it, Nick. It works very well. Yeah, it was comfortable to use. It's lovely and light, obviously. You know, it only weighs the same as a couple of feathers. I love the way that you can quickly peel the discs off. And I can reattach them without losing them, dropping them. So for me, you know, it's good because I like to have things at hand safely in place. So you happy with that, Nick? Is that what you're after? So I'm going to put my little spiral in the bottom. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's spin it that way for a change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the reason I'm counting is that just lets me know that they're both the same depth. Has he said anything, or has he?
Yeah, he's put, think I can
I think.
audition for the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Right. Okay.
Thanks for the review. I was thinking about testing on a plastic chopping board, but as we all know, now it sticks to it.
Yeah, it was just an idea. I think it works really well, and for its first incarnation, it's really good. So I'm going to get some sanding sealer on here now. It is, remember, uber dry, this beech, so it's sucking this in like a good one. How's that looking now? It's had some sealer on there.
Yeah, that looks really good. I like the different woods you've got.
Yeah, well, it's all beech.
And it's kind of, I don't know.
Has it got some chatoyance?
Yeah, a bit shiny.
So yeah, it's all beech, but it's the nib. So second coat of sanding sealer now.
Instagram. Now. Bo just liked your photo.
Wipe up spillages, throw that on the floor. Clean up day tomorrow. Just let this flash off, it will be but a second. So what we're going for here now is we've gone for, because it's, you know, I know it's not the biggest platter bowl dish thing in the world, but we've still gone for that classical catenary curve. What Mother Nature would have it do if you had a string pulled between 2 points. We've gone for a foot, a third approximately, without you measuring it and getting uber anal, so I've just sort of like guesstimated it. So we're going for classic elegant lines. And you know, there's a reason why, you know, the pieces of art in the world, you know, and you know, the world's most expensive bowls and platters, and you know, it's because they follow a form, you know, and you will not go far wrong with copying, you know, Mother Nature or the true grandmasters that have gone before. You know, if you are copying a design from someone that's alive, you know, like, you know, your favourite Turner, you want to copy what he's done, you know, just do the right thing and be, you know, be the one to credit them and say thank you so very much, you know, for inspiring this piece, and I've copied you, but, you know, I'm giving you a shout out. And so, you know, if you are copying someone that's alive, don't just plagiarise it, you know, honour them and, you know, do your version of it, just credit them with it. So what I'm doing here now is just working in the bless you, working in the original Yorkshire grit. So as of yet I can still feel it working under the tissue, and I can certainly hear it. Speed's kept reasonably safe and slow at the minute. So the sound has diminished a lot now. So I'm ready to up the speed a little bit, and even now I am stood away from it, I am not in the direct line of fire. But now I am going to up the speed again, so I'm going to return to the face shield. So there is a blind glue up. Not that I don't trust my own skill, but better to be safe than sorry. So firm and gentle pressure, working it in, moving it around.
Nick says he was going to make one that spins like the Simon Hope sander, but costs would be too high for me to make them.
Yeah.
He's selling them for £10, including P&P.
Mm. Well, best of luck with it anyway, mate. It's a nice little device. microfine going on. Turn the speed low. Start working it in. A bit faster than that. Keep moving it around. As I'm moving, I'm feeling and I'm thinking and everything else. Up the speed. I'm going to move to a clean piece of tissue in a second. Up the speed a bit.
Instagram. Now, Batch Woodworks and Bojess liked your photo.
So that should be fine and dandy on that. So I'm going to use some friction polish now. So when I'm doing decorative items, this is my finish of choice. Less is more, just a few drops on your paper and I can feel them hit the paper just like you're putting a few drops of vinegar on your chips. Gentle pressure, otherwise sometimes you can find your tissue sticks to the piece. It looks like your first attempt at shaving. Get that board off. Come back. And again, feel for that. Again, a couple of drops. Just let it soak into the tissue for a second. Just up the ante.
What grit does the microfine go up to, says Nathan?
The microfine's about 2000 grit. The original's about 1000. So that's that there done now. Happy days. So we'll flip it around. Well, take the faceplate off first. That's on tight. Which isn't a bad thing.
Ooh, squeaky, squeaky.
Squeaky, squeaky. So, you can always give it a polish up again later with some wax, get my grubby fingerprints off. So just remove these screws. Got to find the screw first. So now else for it, I just have to go around, feel for where the screw is with my finger, and sort of like guide the bit in place.
Nick says, thanks for giving it a positive review. At least I can now put a cheeky slogan on it saying, if a blind guy can use it, so can you.
There you go.
Nathan says they only use the original Yorkshire grit.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's going to take it to 1000 grit, which is really smooth, Nathan. Nothing wrong with that, but the microphone will give it, you know, an extra smoothness if that's what you're after. So what I'm going to do now is just give my chuck a blast. I say this every time, but this is what teaching's about. You hear it time and time again. If you have done the underneath of your bowl to finish like that is, you don't want to damage it or scratch it. So I'm just locking down the grub screw on the spindle there for safety. What you want to do is make sure that your jaws are clean. I've just given them a blast off, and I'll still give them, and I do this every single time. Unless it's going to be gripping a tenon and you're going to turn the tenon off. Not as critical then, but I still do it as force of habit. You spend a long time doing the underside of that bowl. Let's not scratch it. So I'm going to put that in place, hold it securely. That feels, just giving it a cursory spin there, that feels great, and it's just letting me know that it's seated properly. It hasn't bottomed out. Remember, you did it about 3 or 4 mil. That's all you need. You don't want it to bottom out. Go around to all the holes, nipping up carefully. Do not over tighten. And periodically throughout the hollowing out process, you can just check them as well. You know, wood moves, things flex.
Chris, do you always throw the screws away, says Real Ale 999?
I do. But if you can, if you want to keep hold of yours and think, well, they'll go for another one, you can do. But it's just part of me being overcautious. That's all, nothing more than that. You know, I don't know if those screws, I mean, there's no reason why that screw would be inherently dangerous now, or fractured or weakened, but I do like to use fresh ones, so we're just going to take this up. Now, obviously, yes, you can be. That's a bit too low. Stop it a sec. Feel for that centre. Now, yes, obviously, you can be doing that, using a bow gouge as it was intended. But you know me, like to mix it up. So, I think I'm going to give it something like that. Very dry still, but for speed, that was just for people that say to me, well, you're blind, but why don't you use traditional tools? Well, I can. That's how I taught myself, that's how I learned. But I do love the versatility and the speed of my carbide, and you know, a lot of time love and effort went into making these for me, so I don't just want them to be an ornament sat in a rack. I want to use them, I like using them, so use them I do. Obviously, you know, you can push with them, pull with them. A good thing that you can do as well with these, although you use it on its side. And also, you do stay sharp for a hell of a long time.
Is there any finish you wouldn't use on top of Yorkshire grit? For example, I like to use friction polish on spindles and wax on bowls. I'm unsure of using friction polish over Yorkshire grit though. Rubber dub wood.
No, there's no problem. You have to make sure, because I've just done it, I used Yorkshire grit first, then friction polish, and you know, lots of people remark on how good my finishing is. You have to make sure that all of the Yorkshire grit it's been used effectively, it's done its job, but really it's removed as well then. You don't want any greasy residue on top or left. You know, I can feel with a finger that, you know, the work is smooth but it's not greasy, you know, and that's one thing you don't want, and because the greasiness could affect the friction polish. I have used friction polish on top of Yorkshire grit for years. You just make sure the Yorkshire grit has done its job and it's completely worked in and removed, and you will have no problem. for this swimming. It's alright, I know there's a pimple there in the middle. And another reason I can be in full flow, and because my mental imagery is sort of like working, and we're getting to the point now where this is going to be, you know, getting near finished. The mental imagery is firing, and I'm moving, and I'm flowing, and you know, I'm in the zone, and you know, again, and that's in part because I'm not having to think about bevel contact and things like that. So it claws back time for me, but I love the flow that it can give me to work in harmony with the mental imagery. So that's sort of like the best way I can describe it, really.
Do you only use the round carbide tip on the inside of bowls? That's from Nathan.
Yeah, I do, because I'm just scared of the corner of the square one having a catch. So I don't. I'm sure there's sighted woodturners out there that use the square carbide tip on the inside. I use the round one just to take away that element of danger. I don't know, Nathan, do you use carbide, or have you used carbide? That's one thing I've never asked you, really. Because I don't know if you do use carbide, or you're interested in getting some. I don't know how your arms are in holding it and getting around and being safe with it. Got plenty of meat left there. So that was just my depth gauge that I used to help me get a tactile indication of how deep I have removed the material to. So turn the speed up a bit now. Tool rest needs to come up a thou.
Nathan says they are new for me. Stace says I'm slowly getting off the carbide.
Well, carbide.
Nathan says my granddad has just bought some.
Who's that, Nathan?
Yeah.
Oh right, so your granddad Ian. Yeah, they're great, Nathan, and for someone like you, yeah, use them, mix it up, still keep your skill levels up there with traditional tools, your spindle gouges, roughing gouges, bowl gouges. But actually, while I'm talking Stace, there's no need for you to not use your carbide ever again. It's great you are evolving, and you're slowly getting to use traditional tools more. That's great, but there's no reason why, you know, you shouldn't pick up your carbide if you want to for a specific job, or you know, it makes you feel good using them. I think every beginner should learn on traditional tools. If you can. But you know, carbide, you know, it has come on leaps and bounds. Carbide.
Stuart, the Blind Woodturner, says he bought a set of Easy Wood.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he means mini carbide tools at Makers last year.
Right.
He's only ever used them on resin. Always forget they're there when turning wood.
Yeah.
Blind Woodturner says I only use carbide on resin.
Yeah.
Wayne Bigfoot says I use both carbide and traditional. The carbide are a good tool to have in your arsenal.
Yeah. And you know, carbide, they're a lot of fun, and they can get the job done quickly. You know, there's no reason not to have a set of carbide. But you know, and also they're not idiot proof. I've had catches with carbide in the early days. You know, so it's not like they're idiot proof. There is a learning curve to them. They're not idiot proof. You're still dealing with a sharp.
Colin says he's recently bought his first carbide hollowing tool and finds it very good.
That's where they come into their own, hollowing, really.
Mercy Island Woodturner, he uses Glen Teagle and Simon Hope carbide, as well as traditional.
I think, you know, having both accessible to you in your workshop is great, and mix it up and have fun with whatever you're using. Be safe and have fun and practice. There are no mysteries. It's all hard work, practice, believe in yourself, have confidence. You know, if you've done a crap job, say, that is actually crap. You know, I've got Nicola to say, you know, that's not quite right, just a bit of a tweak. It happens very rarely, I must say. But, you know, I have got Nicola to be my eyes, but, you know, my fingertips are highly sensitised, and my hearing. I'm standing on something. What is it? No, just an old piece of knife web. So yeah, I think if you can, at all possible, unless there's a really good reason, start on traditional tools.
Ian in the shed says he's still learning traditional tools. It'll be a while before he gets any carbides.
Yeah, learn your traditional tools, you know, get to know them, you know, learn how to sharpen them. Again, you know, there's another art form and a skill set there, sharpening your high-speed steel. Carbide, relatively easy, you unscrew it, you know, rub it on your diamond card, and you know, you're good to go for another month then.
Real Ale says he's not got carbide, but his Revolution set arrived today.
Right, okay. So we're on to a bit of straighten action. And like I say, you know, if you're going to go in and feel your piece, you know, make sure that your tool rest is out of the way before you go in there. Otherwise you can get, well, I'd get jammed in there, and I bloody nearly got jammed in then. Not even spinning. If I am going to leave the tool rest in place when I'm feeling, it'll be a top edge 6 inches away.
Chris Cox says that's a beautiful shape you've got on the bowl.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Nick, you've done enough UFOs now, and we've all loved your extraterrestrial journey in wood turning, but I can hear, in fact, Nick, in the way that you were describing that video, that's why I had to get in touch with you, because I thought, flipping heck, it was like a switch had gone on from the previous video, and you were talking, you know, about your foot and making sure the shoulder was nice and clean, and you were feeling the inclusion, and you could tell the difference between your tool, how it felt with the inclusions, and there was a big shift in your mindset towards your turning. You keep that up. No steps backward, keep that up. Because I pick up on stuff like that, sad to say. I need to get out more. Oh, that's right, we can't. So again, sanding wax. Going to help keep the dust down. Help soften and lubricate this, what is very, very, you know, powdered dry beech. So this is going to help keep the dust down. It's going to just lubricate and nourish that wood. Any questions just while I'm cleaning the lappy wappy?
Did I say that Nathan's never sharpened? His granddad does that.
Right, that's okay. Well, Nathan, you have got your own unique problems, but what do you sharpen? Well, what does your granddad sharpen on? High-speed grinder and jig, or does he freehand sharpen?
Nick says he's always been able to pick stuff up quickly, it's just trying to remember it all.
So flip side first. Speed nice and slow. Just get rid of that sharp top edge. De-slurry it.
Simple jig on high speed, Nathan says.
Right, okay.
Georgina says, what wood are you using to make your lovely bowl, Chris?
Beech! You okay?
Yeah,
You coughing?
tickle. So what are you doing now then?
Well, it's still really dry. So, just again keeping the dust down. So we're doing more of the same.
Oh, Alan Stocks has just come on.
Hi, Alan.
Instagram. Now, Sawdust and Spickle commented, "We've all been there. Hope he heals soon." Attachment.
David McClernand says, great piece, Chris, very nice.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Steve Coombs says, wow, 48 people watching, Chris, that's awesome.
Thank you.
What's that you're using, Chris, says Alan.
It's 180 a Velcro sanding disc. 180.
I think he means the whole thing, not just the disc.
Oh, the whole thing. Right, that's a little sanding paddle that the Flaming Turner has come up with. So you can attach attach whatever grits you want, and it just holds them, and it's a little sanding paddle. So he sent me one to try, which is what I'm doing, trying it. So yeah, they're very good. And just for this last little pass, I'm just holding the paper, this paper by hand, just so I can get in this radius. Oh. We've got them power caps because you can get in there and get a blast of cold air. Or cool air. Right, so what we're going to do now is get a good glob of sanding sealer on this. That will sand it to 240. And this is, like I say, uber dry, this stuff. Oops. Get this in. So just like that, flash off in a second. Get a clean piece of Scotch-Brite actually. Bit of a douche in a bowl. It's this box. Pardon me for showing you my backside, if you can see it. Just do a bit of that. Wire brush out in my back pocket because I keep putting my hand on it and stabbing myself with the bristles. Find that offensive. And again, another good drink of sealer. So
Mercy Island Woodturner says he watched the Skill Centre live and he sands up to 240, then alternates between hand and rotary up to the desired grit.
yeah.
Is that something you would do?
Yeah, you can do that, and then you're getting alleviating any sanding marks that you would get that would run concentrically around. So using the self-propelled inertia sander, it would completely remove them. You can do that. But also, if you haven't got one and you're hand sanding, sometimes I like to do a circular motion like this. As well. So yeah, the self-propelled sanders are very good. You can power sand as well, obviously if you want. the important thing is, you know, get to know your sanding, you know. Once you get to know what wood species, you know, responds best to what, and you know, some wood turners might go from, you know, 180 straight to, or from 240 straight to 400 and miss 320, and you know, depends on how good your sanding technique is. I generally don't skip any grits because, you know, being a stickler for routine and processes and making sure I adhere all the time to that routine and never deviate, I don't skip grits. And that's really because I can't see what's going on the surface. I have to rely on my touch and that process and never deviating from it. It works for me anyway.
Alan says, do you go to 600 then web racks? What's that?
Well, it depends. There's lots of brand names. You could go to 600 if you wanted. Depending on, again, wood species. Like Colwyn said, a lot of the exotic species, you know, they really like to really be sanded up to 1,000. And there are some woods that you can just sand to 240 and you get away with. You know, and I'm paraphrasing Colwyn here. So it depends on the wood species. But, you know, going to 600 and then going to, you know, you could go to Nye-Web or you could go to abrasive pastes. Really, there's no need to go to 600 if you're going to be using the abrasive pastes. Nothing stopping you if you want to. You know, that's that jump from 600 to 1,000 with the original Yorkshire grit. So, you know, you could do it if you wanted. Me personally, if I'm doing something to be eaten out of, I'll sand without Yorkshire grit to 400 or 600. If it's a decorative item, I tend to go to 240 and then use the abrasive paste and then friction polish. That feels like it's all worked in now. All worked in, all worked in. Right, so I'm going to go to the microfine now. So that original Yorkshire grit would take it to approximately 1,000, and this is going to take it to approximately 2,000 now. So always apply it by hand at first with the lathe static. And then we start on a slow speed. You start working it in slowly at first. I'm feeling and listening as to what's going on, but also it's not getting flung off into your face or just off into the workshop. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm listening to the bowl or whatever item it is, jaw, chuck interface. You know, are there any warning sounds? And you know, are there any knocks? Any, you know, sounds of fluttering or fluctuations? Anything like that that might alert me to something just becoming a bit loosey goosey. Everything has sounded hunky-dory. I'm going to turn the speed up now. Move to a clean piece of tissue. Up a bit more. Couldn't possibly tell you what, you know, how many revs this is doing. It's not that high at the minute. It's probably only about 1,000, 1,200. more like 1500 now. Making sure it's all worked in, and again, you know, getting rid of any greasy residue so it won't affect our final polish.
Would you ever go higher with wet and dry?
Yeah, if you were lacquering it, if you went for a lacquer finish, you know, you can go into the micro meshes and you know, get it like glass. That little cherry pot I did with the airbrushed maple leaves on, that had 3 coats of chestnut acrylic gloss lacquer, and then I flatted it back after it had set up really hard. I flatted it back with 2000 wet and dry, and I used a little bit of dish detergent in some water just to help it slide and glide, and flatted it back. And then you could use a buffing compound like, well, I wouldn't really use G3 unless you've got, you know, a bit of orange peel going on, or some inclusions, you know, maybe G10, which is an automotive product made by Clay, and then Clay. But yeah, if you're going on a lacquered surface, yeah, you could get it like crystal. So this is the friction polish now. I'm applying it, just a few drops, gentle pressure over the entire surface, keeping it moving, supporting my right wrist, and that way I can go over the whole surface with support and not get the heebie-jeebies. So a couple more drops. I feel it hit the paper, and that's why I drop it on from maybe 5 or 6 inches high, so it hits and I feel it.
These folks say he loves the stripes, it shows the shape off really well.
Yeah, it's just, you know, once I've glued it up and I thought, you know, well, it's going to be at least a 10-incher when I finished, you know, I thought this classic shape and style would lend itself to it. You know, I've gone for the slope in the chamfered rim. So again, thinking about how things look and how things feel in your hand. We're thinking about how it's going to look when it's finished. How it's going to sit. You know, basically, you know, you're trying to make your own little piece of art here. And we're enjoying it, we're taking our time, we're loving the process, we're having fun, we're learning something every day, we're refining our craft. A little bit of Yorkshire grit that had gone over the back. There's that tissue, just wipe it off before it sets up. So it could be a bit of friction polish. That's got it. So there we go now. So we've got a lovely
Hang on, we're not getting you there, I don't think. Let me just get you in the frame properly. That's probably better now. Yeah. Do you want to hold it and then
so,
I'll just wiggle this up so they can see you as well.
so we've got a beech glued up platter bowl dish thing
Platter bowl dish.
with a nice little catenary curve and a chamfered rim. so it's on a foot, so it would be elevated above the sideboard of the table. So as you walk in, depending on what angle you look at it from, you know, it appear to be floating. So how's it look, Nicola?
It looks really great, yeah. Debbie Beardall says it's beautiful, it's popping, looks brilliant, beautiful, it really is a work of art. Loving the bowl, great job, nice work, beautiful, stunning. That's beautiful, looks real nice, looks great. So I think people like it. Stunning finish, love the stripes, it shows the shape off really well.
So yeah, that was very, very dry beech. In fact, one of the pieces might even be elm.
They are, you can see different
Yeah,
colours.
it does feel a bit of a different grain pattern, and luckily enough it's the one slap bang in the middle that might be elm. But yeah, so it basically, they were spindle blanks from British Hardwoods, so I just grabbed, well, how many was it? It's probably about 6 actually, half a dozen, and glued them up. So there you have it. So give it a go.
That looks
that's
lovely. Looks really
On the
nice.
side.
Steve
So-
Coombs has given you $5.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it. So yeah, try to get your foot, if you're going to put a foot on it, approximately a third of the way across, the rule of thirds. And if you were going for a tenon, remember to reverse mount this and then make sure that your tenon is finished off and tidied up as well.
Georgina says beautiful, I really love the colours.
So
Yeah, and Electro Project says 2 hours of streaming. So it's taken you 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah. And that's obviously with, you know, talking and chatting and things like that.
Steve says he appreciates you, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate you as well. I appreciate everyone. We appreciate everybody. We really do. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So give it a go. Nice simple glue up. A lot of fun. That was all very, very super dry timber. That's out of British Hardwoods, you know, kilns. So very, very, very dry. But yeah, it sucked the sealer in. That was for sure. But yeah, love it. It's great. So it would make a nice little decorative bowl. It'd even make
It's
a nice fruit bowl.
Yeah.
You know, once the finishes are set off and everything, you know, you could have fruit in that. I wouldn't eat directly out of that because it's not got a food safe finish on. But, you know, for a fruit bowl, once everything's set up and cured, you know, you'd probably be alright with that. You know when something is really flashed off completely and cured because it stops smelling. That's a good rule of thumb. If you can stop smelling it, it's cured. So bear that in mind as well, folks. If you can smell it, it's still going through its curing process. So there you go. Sort of like a deep platter. That's what it is. Like a deep platter. So that was a lot of fun, as always.
40 people liked it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I just thought I'd do so. I know the glue up was a bit, you know, different, but I thought, you know, I wouldn't do any texturing or colouring tonight. I'll have the withdrawal symptoms tomorrow. Get the Merlin 2 out and power carve the door frames. No, alright. I just thought I'd keep it simple, stupid.
It looks really nice though, that.
Yeah, so.
It's got some nice chateaubriands going on.
Yeah, so. Yeah, some of the pieces have got quite an open grain on them, so. Getting all dust on it now. Cool. So we're done.
Yeah, I think so.
We're done, folks.
So we'll be back tomorrow for At Home with the Fishers.
7:30 PM UK time, British summer time, whatever you want to call it.
UTC.
UTC.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, so 7:30 p.m. UTC.
Thank you everybody for watching and for all your comments and joining in. Yeah, we shall be back.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Had a lot of fun. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and keep on turning. Yeah, and we'll speak to you all tomorrow night. Bye.
Okay, bye everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Finish. Button. Finish. Alert. Are you sure that you want to stop?